Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm your host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here today. If you're just finding us, we've been around since 2015. So we are coming up on almost 8 years now, which is crazy to think about how far we've come and what we've been able to do in the mission to reclaim and restore masculinity. And that is what we're all about. Specifically with this podcast, giving you the tools and information and resources and connections that you need to thrive. And that's what I'm going to be talking with you about today for our Friday field notes. I'm going to be talking about where you should start on your self-development journey. Because if we're being honest, around this time of year, we start reflecting on what we've done in the past. We start reflecting on what we want to do in the future, moving into 2023. And so this is something that's on everybody's mind. So I am going to be sharing with you a couple of things that probably you've heard of. Let's be frank. And I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I think might be different because I want it to be different. Because if it's the same advice you've always heard, but you're not implementing it for whatever reason, then it's not going to serve you and you're not going to do better. So we're going to get into that. Before I do, I just want to mention that I'm very excited to let you know, after months of telling you about it, that our exclusive brotherhood, the Iron Council, is officially open. If you don't know what this is, it's a group of men working together, having conversations, holding each other accountable, working through challenges that we offer, assignments and topics that we flesh out and give to you guys so that you know how to develop and build yourself as a man. And we are open for enrollment until the end of the year. So for about 2 weeks. So do it quick if you want to join us. And you can do that at orderofman.com/iron council, orderofman.com/iron council. I'm going to talk about that in a minute too, though. So for now, let's get to where to start on the self-development journey. I would say number one, exercise. I know it's common advice. I know that you probably hear that all the time. You might be overlooking it because it sounds so simple or everybody suggests it. I'm just telling you right now that the best thing that you can do right now today, if you want to start on improving yourself as a husband, a father, a business owner, a community leader, a coach, a mentor, a friend, a teacher, a boss, an employee, etc., is start going to the gym. And I'll tell you why. Because when you do, not only are you going to almost immediately start to feel better, physically, mentally, emotionally, you're also going to start seeing changes very quickly, especially if you're out of shape significantly. The closer you are to being in ideal shape, it's a little bit like that law of diminishing return. You probably won't see or notice the gains or improvement as quickly. But if you are severely obese or you are drastically out of shape, by going to the gym, you're going to start to notice those physical improvements and changes immediately, which gives you a little bit of fuel. And let's be honest, we all need a little fuel sometimes. I know motivation gets a bad rap because it's fleeting and it's not as good as discipline and whatever, but motivation's a good thing. So let's not beat up on motivation. If you're motivated because you lost a pound or 2 or 5 pounds on the scale this week and you're motivated enough to go back into the gym, then I would say that motivation was a pretty good tool in that instance. Again, I know it gets a bad rap, but motivation is a good thing. So let's use it how we can. But the other thing it does is it helps you clear your mind. It helps you start thinking about things differently. It gives you the space and the margin to go through difficult and demanding and challenging workouts and then proving to yourself that you're capable of overcoming them. If you're anything like me, whether it's going to the gym or even going to jiu-jitsu, I get done today. I'm sore. I'm a little bit sore. My back's a little bit sore. My legs are a little tight because I've done leg workouts the last couple of days. And I actually feel good in spite of that. Maybe not even in spite, maybe because. When is the last time that we as men really had to go struggle? When's the last time we really had to suffer or we really had to work through something? Odds are we just don't have to do it like we did 100 or 200 or 1,000 years ago. But if you're anything like me, it feels good when you're in a little bit of physical pain because you know you exerted yourself. You know you pushed yourself. You know you did something you thought you should do. And let's not forget about the health benefits of exercising. I mean, losing 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds. What's your stamina going to be like? What's your energy going to be like? What's your attraction level? Not only to your wife or significant other, but also to potential clients or employers or partners, people you want to work with. They're naturally going to start gravitating more towards you because you're more magnetic, because you look better and you walk better. It's not just about the physical looks. It's about the way that you carry yourself. Shoulders back, chest out, head a little higher, a little hop in your step. We all know of the benefits of exercise, and yet so few of us are willing to go and do it. Why? Oh, I'm busy. I don't have a workout. I don't know a coach. There's not a gym near me. All of that stuff, those are all excuses. I'm busy. Who isn't busy? In fact, I know most of the guys that go to the gym that I know of are extremely busy, and yet they find time to do it. They go to bed a little earlier so they can wake up earlier. Maybe they do it on their lunch break. Okay, so I'm busy is not an excuse. I'm tired, right? Of course you're tired because you're carrying around 30 or 40 pounds extra of weight around your midsection and you have no energy to carry it around. Imagine if you weren't carrying a plate and a gym plate around your midsection all day, every day. Or imagine if you didn't have that extra layer of fat that's trying to strangle you for 8 hours as you're trying to sleep at night. Of course you don't have any energy. So what's the solution? Lose the weight, get in shape, build strength, build cardio, build stamina so that you aren't as tired. And yes, it's going to be hard at first because your body's not used to you doing something, but you're going to feel better very, very quickly. What's another excuse? I don't have a gym near me. You don't need a gym. Do squats, do push-ups, do pull-ups, pull things, throw things, lift things, drop things, drag things, push things. That's it. Go outside, swing the axe. You can see I got my jacket on today because it's a little cold. We're supposed to be getting a snowstorm this weekend. And, a lot of people around here are chopping wood for their wood burning stoves. There's a good workout. No gym required. Just an axe and a tree. Guys, that is an excuse. I don't have a gym near me, so I can't do anything. What did your ancestors do? Like, did they go to these climate controlled gyms? Did they pick up these perfectly machined, symmetrical, balanced bars and weights? No, that would have been laughable. But why were they in shape? Because they were running, they were throwing, they were jumping, they were pulling, they were lifting, they were pushing. If you're using, I don't have a gym near me as an excuse, then really you just don't want to go to the gym. And then just say that. At least you're being honest. You might be being lazy, but at least you're being honest. Or you could be lazy and a liar. I'd rather be lazy and honest about it. Or better yet, not be lazy and be honest and get my butt into the gym. It's a no-brainer. All right. I beat that one to death now. Number 2, this one's a little different. I would say that you can go out, and you should, if you want to start on your self-development journey, find a hobby. Find and develop a hobby, something that's meaningful and interesting to you. That could be something in the physical realm, like picking up martial arts, boxing or jujitsu or wrestling or Muay Thai or whatever. It could be something that is, just interesting, like learning how to take pictures. So you're getting into photography and you're doing landscape or you're doing family pictures. Maybe you want to learn how to develop and build websites. Maybe you've always been interested in painting. And so you pull up Bob Ross on YouTube and you start going through his lessons because not only is he fun to watch, but you could create some pretty cool art and that's meaningful to you. Maybe you want to take an improv class. Maybe you want to do stand-up comedy. I don't know, whatever your thing is. Ryan, what should I do? Whatever you're interested in, you don't need my permission and you don't need anybody else's permission. And what I would suggest to you is there is nothing that is, as far as hobbies go, that are manly or unmanly hobbies. A lot of people will think that, especially when it comes to the arts, painting, instruments, singing, those types of things, cooking. Those aren't unmanly things. And it doesn't matter even if they were. What matters is that you find something that's interesting to you, and then you go all in on that thing and you learn how to be good at it. And why is this important? Well, it teaches you that you can develop and learn new skills. And so there's an element of pride that comes with that. This past week, my wife was out of town, and I don't do hardly any cooking, but we grabbed the Instant Pot out. She had this cookbook for Instant Pot, and my oldest son and I made 4 or 5 meals while she was gone, the dinners. And it was actually a lot of fun. And I know for some of you who may cook and all of that, you're thinking that's ridiculous. That shouldn't be a big deal. It is for me because I just don't cook, and I haven't for 20 years. So I started cooking, and it was fun. I had a good time with my son, learned some new things, went to the grocery store, figured out where things were. It took me way longer to grocery shop than it should have, but it was fun. And I built up just a little bit of confidence in being able to do that. The next part about developing a hobby is it makes you interesting. How dull and bland and boring are most of us? We get up, we do the same routine, we go into an office, we crank out the paperwork, we go to the same places for lunch, we come home, we eat dinner, we have sex the same way, we go to bed at the same time, our kids and I are having the same conversations, and life is just boring. If you want to start on your self-development journey and you want to improve and get better, make yourself an interesting person. Be interested in lots of different things, dive deep into a few things, and then people will be interested in you. Again, you'll be like a magnet. People will see you and think, man, there's really something different to this guy. He's well-rounded, he's well-versed, he's cultured. He knows about cooking, he knows about painting, he knows about martial arts. Right. It makes you an interesting, fun person, an enjoyable person to be around. And it rounds out some things that maybe you need to work on, like for myself, cooking. All right, next, number 3. This one's a little different as well. And this is something that admittedly I've only really started doing over the past couple of weeks, but journaling has been huge for me. Now I get a lot of questions about how I should journal and what should I start with and what should I write and what should this and what should that. I don't actually know. Okay, I don't know. I don't know the perfect plan for journaling. I don't know what system out there is the best, and because there's all kinds of systems you could use. What I've been doing, a couple of prompts for me is, number 1, what did I learn today? What did I learn today? Number 2, what went well and what didn't go so well? Were there some things that I excelled at? Were there some things that I could have done better? That gives me some forward thinking for tomorrow and moving forward. I also think about what I would want to read, or what lessons that I've learned in the day that I would want to read at a future date. So I'm writing to my future self, hey, here's what I learned about today, and here's why the way I did this one thing wasn't effective, and here's what I would do in the future. Another way you can spin that is that if your children were to get a hold of this journal, and they likely will, in the next 10 or 15 years, what lessons would you want them to know that you learned today? But there's one big prompt that I use that's been really, really helpful that I have avoided for a very long time. And that is, how do I feel? How do I feel? And I'm not just talking about, yeah, I'm happy, or I'm down today, or I'm mad. Like, sure, if you're experiencing that, write that down. I'm talking about, like, deeply, how do you feel about your relationship? How do you feel about the work you're doing? How do you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror? How do you feel when you get upset or offended or triggered by something that some random person says to you? Start documenting how you feel about those things. We don't have enough feeling type conversations because we're men. We're not supposed to feel those things. Wrong. We are supposed to feel those things. And even more important, we're supposed to understand what we're experiencing, why we're feeling the way that we're feeling, so that we can use that as feedback to make either the same or different choices in our lives moving forward. If you're happy, I don't think it's enough to know you're happy. If you're feeling fulfilled, I don't think that's enough. I think you should really start to uncover why that's the case. Because if you're like me and you're feeling fulfilled, I want to replicate that today and tomorrow and the next day and the next. I like to feel like that. If I notice myself on edge or uneasy or irritable or resentful or bitter or contentious, I would like to know why I'm feeling that way. And typically it isn't because you got an email from a customer that said the wrong thing. That may have been, the straw that broke the camel's back. That may have been the trigger, but there's something underlying there. And if you start to see trends about why you're feeling this way, don't we want to explore that? Don't we want to uncover that? And on the topic of our self-development journey, now we actually have something we can work on. Hey, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be contentious. I don't want to feel like garbage. I don't want to feel guilty about my behaviors. I don't want to experience those things. So I'm not just going to bury them. I'm actually going to uncover, I'm going to dig them up through journaling. And then I'm going to start putting some plans moving forward that will help me not subdue the way I feel, but actually address the root problem that's creating that feeling for me. That's powerful. So a lot of the times I think the message, whether it's spoken or unspoken, is, hey man, you're feeling guilty, get over it. You're feeling sad or lonely, toughen up. Well, yeah, I mean, you could. And there might be moments, isolated, acute moments where you do need to toughen up for a minute. Like you can't dwell on that for a minute because you have work to do. But if we do that all the time, we're never addressing our problems. And that's not unmanly. Like I think it's manly to actually confront your problems, confront your challenges, live with those feelings so you can actually do something about it. So those are some prompts I use for the journaling. All right. So guys, we have exercise, we have finding a hobby, we have journaling, and then the next one is organization. I can't tell you how often, maybe randomly I'll catch a ride with somebody and their car is a mess. Like fast food bags and trash in the door and trash on the ground. It isn't vacuumed and dog hair and it's just a mess. And if your space like that, your car is a mess, that's going to spill over into your effectiveness. It just absolutely is. If your office is a mess, it's a wreck. If your closet's a mess, your drawers, all your clothes are just like thrown in there and it's a mess, or you have a stack of paperwork up to your eyeballs and like it's just messy and cluttered, that it's not conducive to success. We know this. It's not organized. It's not effective. It's not efficient. It's that clutter is coming into your mind. It's keeping you from being effective, from you focusing on the things that are important. So what I would suggest to you is write down, maybe even in your journal, write down a list of places that need to be organized. The other day it was my filing cabinet, because I have a tendency of, in my filing cabinet, I'll file papers, but then when I get mail, I'll just throw it on top of the filing cabinet. And so eventually, there's a stack of paperwork 12 inches or 20 inches high on top of my filing cabinet. So the other day I went through and I organized them. That one requires action. That piece of paper can be filed. That piece of paper can be thrown away. Here's another one that needs action. This one can be thrown away. And I organized it and it was nice. Like I felt good. I felt good because I organized it. I took care of a few things that I had been putting off, some that I actually forgot, that I was penalized for on some tax issues because I didn't take care of it right away. So I was being productive. And don't we as men feel better when we're productive? Sometimes you might think, well, there's nothing for me to do. I did all my work. No, there's always something for you to do. Organize your car, clean out your closet, clean out your trunk, clean out your glove box, put your files away, vacuum the carpet, do the dishes, clean the garage. It's always something you can do. And I would make that list of things that you need to organize and just start cranking out. Maybe go through your books. It's a great time to go through books. Hey, what books do I want? What books do I want to give away? I mean, these are things you can give away. We can be charitable right now. Maybe just go through your closet and there's stuck clothes that you need to get rid of from 3, 4, 5 years ago that you can donate. That, like, this is a good time to do that this time of year, or even in your garage. decorations and tools and all sorts of weird stuff in there that you've completely forgot about. We can donate those things. People might find those things useful where we don't. Anyways, organize your environment. Also, your computer is another one you can organize. Like I've seen some desktops that are like files just everywhere. Organize that. Clean it up. Have a system. Be systematic. You're going to feel better when you do. All right. And the last one, guys, is, and admittedly, I will say this disclaimer, a little bit self-serving, but it's also true. Two things can exist at once. It could serve me and it could also serve you. And what I would say to you is that you need to have other men in your corner. There are so many men out there who are flying solo. They're lone wolves, and it's a problem. I've been there. And when I'm down and I'm depressed, or I'm in my head, or I have an issue, or I have something I'm struggling with, or maybe I don't, but I'm just not as effective and productive as I could otherwise be, those are the moments that I need men in my corner who are strong, who are virtuous, who are capable, who care about me. Man, you have guys like that in your corner that you can reach out to and say, hey, man, I'm struggling with this thing. What do you think? Or maybe even you don't have to reach out. Maybe they recognize something and they call you. It's like, hey, man, I've noticed you've been off a little bit. What's going on? And there's some humility in there. And I'm using that word as opposed to the word vulnerable. I don't completely like that word. I get what people are saying. I don't think it's vulnerability. I think it's just being humble. Acknowledging that you don't have things all figured out, acknowledging that you aren't as good as you think you are, acknowledging that other people might be served by the lessons that you've learned, some of the hardest lessons that we've learned, the painful, agonizing lessons that we've learned. That's humility. And guys, we need to be humble. And if we are humble, we can find those other men who we can band with. Now, the problem is they're hard to find. Not only do you not know how to do it because you've never done it, and culturally, we've never been taught really how to do this with other men. But even if you did know how to do it, there's few and far men between that actually are interested in that. Why? Because they've been culturally conditioned not to do it either. But there are men out there, and there are men who are interested in connecting. There are men who are interested in building up their band of brothers. And that's why we started, and here's where the self-serving part comes in. That's why we started the Iron Council. When I started Order of Man 7.5 years ago, it was difficult for me to find guys like this that were interested in developing and growing and maturing the same way that I was. And so I created it. And we created the systems and the processes and the planning and the tools and everything that we needed to be able to help you tap into a network of men you already know who are motivated and ambitious. How do we know? Because they've raised their hand. And they've got out their credit card and they've said, okay, I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to invest in myself. And I've had a lot of people say, oh, you know what? That's ridiculous. Men paying for friends. You're not paying for friends. You're investing in relationships. Like you wouldn't say that about a woman unless it's a prostitute. You wouldn't say, oh, you're just paying just to have a woman's company. No, I'm investing in this woman because I love her. So I take her to dinner and I buy her things on her birthday and on Christmas, or just because. Like, it's not a transactional thing. You do it because you're investing in that relationship. And yet when it comes to men, connecting with other men, it's like, oh, you're paying for friends. No, I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in other men who I know I can serve and they can serve me. And it's investment in each other. This is the way of community. We always invest in each other. It may not always be monetary. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's attention. Maybe it's resources. But if you care about something, you invest in it. So look, if you have a band of brothers, and look, I've had guys that have left the Iron Council because they have something local, and that's awesome. I wish those guys well. In fact, most of the time I tell them, hey, if there's anything I can do, resources I can provide to you guys, happy to do that because I care about them. I want them to win. But if they have something there, great. If not, and you need to tap into this, then go where the winners are. And they're in the Iron Council. And even the guys that aren't winning, they're on the path to winning. Because look, I'm not winning in every part of life, but I'm trying to be on that path. And I'm trying to surround myself with other men who are there or actively working on getting there. So you can check that out at orderman.com/Iron Council. All right, guys. So where to start in your self-development journey as we finish up 2022 and move into 2023. Number one, get your butt to the gym. Or if you don't have a gym and you're using that as an excuse, just get your butt moving. Run, push, pull, lift, etc. Number two, find a hobby. And don't worry about whether or not I approve of it. It doesn't have to be jujitsu or archery. I think those things are good. I like those things. You might like those things too, but maybe you like something completely different. And I don't care. Nobody cares. What matters is it's something that's interesting to you and it makes you a more interesting, capable person. Number three, journaling. Gave you a lot of prompts on how to journal. Number four, I will say the journaling, the one that I really like is how do you feel, and get deep into how you feel, because we just don't do that enough. Number four, organize your environment, your space, your car, your closet, your garage, your whatever, your computer. And then number five, banding with other solid men. If you have them in your area, do it. If not, or maybe you do and you want to expand that network, then check out the Iron Council. We have men everywhere, literally everywhere. And you can check that out at orderman.com/Iron Council. Guys, I want you to kick 2022's butt as we close this thing out. And I don't want you to wait until January 1st or 15th or 30th to get the ball rolling. Let's get some momentum right now so that when we hit January 1, 2023, we already hit the ground running. You guys get it. Okay. Exercise, hobby, journaling, organizing, and banding with other men. All right, guys. We will be back next week. Until then, go out there, take action, get developed or started on the self-development journey, and become the man you are meant to be.